Let's start with the big story of the day. Concerns and confusion over the Strait of Hormuz are deepening by the day. One day it is open and closed the other. Iran has said that it will not open the Strait of Hormuz unless the US stops the naval blockade there. Now, this marks a sharp reversal from its earlier position when it had indicated that the passage will remain open for the commercial vessels. But a lot has happened in the last 24 hours. The United States has denied ending restriction on the ships moving to and from the Iranian ports. Iran's IRGC has added that the Strait of Hormuz will remain under strict and tight military control until all the threats to the vessels linked to Iran are completely removed. Let me take you through what has happened in the last 24 hours, what has changed as far as the Strait of Hormuz is concerned. Remember, in fact, as far as the first statement is concerned, it was given by the foreign minister of Iran. He had posted on social media that the Strait of Hormuz is open. Just few minutes later, Donald Trump also said that, yes, the Strait of Hormuz is open, but U.S. naval blockade of the Iranian ports, that will continue. And now what we are learning is that Iran has said that it has once again closed the Strait of Hormuz. It will be tightly controlling this key waterway, is what we are learning so far. So a lot, as we told you, has changed in the last 24 hours. It was Iran first that mentioned that the Strait of Hormuz will be open, and now saying that it will be closed because US has refused to remove the naval blockade. A very concerning update is now coming in from the key waterway. Tensions in the Strait of Hormuz affected India as well. Just some time back, two Indian-flagged vessels were fired upon by the Iranian Navy and forced to return from the Strait of Hormuz. One of the two vessels we are learning involved in this is a very large crude carrier, also called as VLCC, carrying nearly 2 million barrels of Iraqi oil. Following the incident, India summoned Iranian ambassador and conveyed the deep concerns over this incident. The foreign secretary urged the ambassador to convey India's views to the Iranian authorities and, in fact, also resume at the earliest the process of allowing the passage of the India-bound vessels across the Strait of Hormuz. So that remains the key concern as far as India is also concerned. On that, we have a breaking update coming in. On one hand, the Strait of Hormuz is blocked by Iran. On the other, US continues the naval blockade of Iranian ports, but Iran is not backing down either. We are learning that there is a statement from Iran's parliamentary speaker. He has spoken on ceasefire and the negotiation with the United States. He has said that Iran does not trust the United States and believes that it may resume attacks at any point in time. So that is why Iranian armed forces are in the field. They are fully prepared, is what he has said. He has further gone on to say that the Strait of Hormuz is under Iran's control, and U.S. decision to blockade the Iranian ports is foolish. It is ignorant, is what he has said. If the U.S. does not lift the blockade, he said that the traffic in the Strait of Hormuz will definitely be restricted. And we have another statement that is coming in, and this time from US President Donald Trump. He has dropped a new post on social media, in fact, posting a picture of himself. We will be showing you that post in just some time. He has posted a photo of himself, mentioning that best is yet to come, a photo of him saluting as well. And that is the latest message from Donald Trump on Truth Social, a social media a website, and a big signal that he has given as far as the blocking of the Strait of Hormuz is also concerned. And those are the visuals on your screen. Let me get you more perspective and go across to my colleague and consulting editor Srinjoy Chaudhary. Good morning, Srinjoy. Before I come to you, let's listen in to what Trump said.
If you don't have a deal by Wednesday when the ceasefire ends, will you extend the ceasefire?
Maybe I won't extend it. So you have a blockade, and unfortunately we'll have to start dropping bombs again.
Let me go across to my colleague Srinjoy, who's been tracking all the details. Good morning, Srinjoy. Concern and confusion of the Strait of Hormuz continues. On one day it is open, close the other. It has to do with the naval blockade that has been put in place by the United States. Give us more update as far as this key waterway is concerned.
The U.S. has set up this naval blockade because it doesn't want Iran to sell its oil. Now, oil prices have shot up, and Iran is continuing to sell its oil, or was doing so, till the blockade. Now, as a result, it was making enormous amounts of money. Now, primarily by selling the oil to China and other countries. Now, when that happened, the Americans realized that Iran's source of income had to be shut down. And one way of shutting it down was by blockading its ports. So as a result, 90% of its oil exports were stuck. Now, this America thought would be a good way of bringing Iran to heel. Now, Iran making it very clear that it would not listen to America. After all, they were at war with each other just a week ago. Decided, well, if our ports are blocked, then okay, all of the Strait of Hormuz will be blocked. And as a result, the entire strait through which 20% of the world's energy flows through has been blocked. Now, this has very disconcerting effects on the world's economy, on the world's energy situation, on the world's economic health. So as a result, again, we are looking at an eyeball-to-eyeball situation, at an impasse, because Iran says we will not reopen the Strait of Hormuz unless the Americans remove the blockade. And America says we'll remove the blockade only if Iran complies with and does certain things, including handing over its uranium deposits, its 460 kilos of enriched, 60% enriched uranium,
Right.
to hands it over. So this is where the situation is. How the peace talks in Pakistan, if they do take place, can solve it remains to be seen.
Absolutely. And amid the concerns and confusion of the Strait of Hormuz, in that backdrop, Donald Trump has also posted on social media declaring that the best is yet to come. Now, Donald Trump's latest messaging is fueling speculation. Is this confidence based on a breakthrough or a warning shot to Iran? Let me take you through the red lines that Iran has drawn as far as the Strait of Hormuz is concerned. What they have said in the last 24 hours, they have said that Hormuz is under Iran control and we will decide on what will really happen next. Traffic will move only because we will allow it, is what Iran has said. Remember, just a few hours back, Iran had mentioned that the Strait of Hormuz is open, but after U.S. President Donald Trump mentioned that the naval blockade on the Iranian ports will remain in place. Now, Iran has closed the Strait of Hormuz once again, saying that we cannot, if we cannot pass, nobody will. And that is a big statement that is coming from Iran. Movement will be restricted if the naval blockade by U.S. continues. And assertion number 5 is we are ready for ultimate martyrdom. Also going on to say that we are ready to shed blood and endure hardships. We have intercepted, Iran has intercepted 180 drones. F-35 targeting was deliberate and not coincidental, is what Iran has said as far as the Strait of Hormuz is also concerned. So Iran clearly has drawn a red line as far as this key waterway is concerned. Let me once again bring in my colleague Srinjoy on this. Srinjoy, tell us what is happening there in the Strait of Hormuz. Let's talk about the 2 Indian vessels as well, which were targeted, because ever since the war has started, Iran has mentioned that there are 5 countries, Iran, in fact, Pakistan, India, Iraq, Russia and China, their vessels will not be stopped. So what really happened yesterday? What was the reason that the Indian vessels were targeted?
First of all, if 8 or 9 Indian vessels have been sent through by the Iranians through the Strait of Hormuz, why have a problem with these 2? And if you do have a problem, instead of requesting them to stop, requesting them to turn back, you fire at them. So if you're going to fire at a friendly country, is this something that is expected? Did India expect the Iranians to fire at our ships? Definitely not, because till very recently, India was a friendly country and Indian ships were allowed to go through the Strait of Hormuz. So if that was so, till a few days ago, what has changed? Why has India, once a friendly country, suddenly become an unfriendly country? And what is the reason? And who was the one who fired? Who was the one who ordered the firing? All of this is not clear. Of course, Vikram Misri, the foreign secretary has spoken with the Iranian ambassador, who was summoned and told in no uncertain terms that, look, this is not done. If you are a friendly country, and if you say that Indian ships will be allowed to go through, why fire at Indian ships? What have they done? So that point has been made. But the larger issue here is, till just the war began, no one imagined that the Strait of Hormuz would be weaponized, and weaponized in such a way, so much so that people are now wondering if America had wargamed the whole thing. Didn't the Strait of Hormuz come up when the war games were being done before the war began?
Absolutely. And now the bigger question is, if the vessels, India-bound vessels, they were allowed to pass through before, then why have they been stopped now? Stay on with us. In fact, we have a reaction coming in from Iran's representative in India, who has reacted to the reported shooting incident involving 2 Indian-flagged ships in the Strait of Hormuz. Have a look at what he said.
Actually, I said the relationship between Iran and India is very, very strong. And I don't know anything about this event which you mentioned, and we hope that it will be okay and it will solve. Yes, this depends on the other side. We don't want to get the war. We don't want to get a crisis in the region. We want peace, and we hope that in the other side also will follow the peace and we get peaceful area.
So, Shinjoy, Iran has drawn a Hormuz red line, saying that Hormuz is under their full control right now, and they will take a call on who will be allowed to pass. Is there any clarity whether now the Indian vessels, India-bound vessels, they will be allowed to pass through this key waterway?
There is no clarity about that. But clearly, Iran has weaponized the Strait of Hormuz in a way it was not expected. And by weaponizing it, Iran clearly has that big card that whatever anyone will say, Iran has the ability to open or close the Strait of Hormuz at any time. To close the Strait of Hormuz is fairly easy. All you have to do is fire at a big tanker. So, or in fact, sink a ship there. If you do, what happens? First, the strait is physically closed. And even if you don't sink a ship there, even if you just mine it or attack one ship with a drone or a missile or something like that, and it's burning, then what it does, it stops shipping companies, it stops ship captains from attempting to go through the Strait of Hormuz. Now, once they have a worry, because the stakes are high.
All right.
Think of that Indian tanker. It was carrying 2 million tons of crude oil. 2 million tons. And you're attacking it. Now, if it had been badly mauled, that ship, then it would have led to unprecedented consequences.
All right.
Now, this is something Iran realizes, and this is something shipping companies realize. So
absolutely. Ever since the war had started, Iran had made it quite clear that they will not be stopping India-bound vessels, vessels from India, from Pakistan, from China, Russia, Iraq as well. So now the bigger question is, why were the ships attacked? Something that Iranian authorities will have to answer. Stay on with us. We have more breaking update coming in as far as the back channel talks are concerned, which are currently underway, because Pakistan, which has been projecting itself as a key mediator in the West Asia war, is now under the scanner. Pakistani Army Chief General Asim Munir is under the scanner in US, with reports calling and citing US intelligence concern and flagging him as a potential red flag for the Donald Trump administration. The report points to Munir's long-standing ties with Iran's top military leadership, including links to senior IRGC figures, raising concern about his role as a back-channel mediator between US and Israel and Iran, I beg your pardon, amid the rising tensions in West Asia. While former President, in fact, President Donald Trump has publicly praised Munir and credited him for helping de-escalate the India-Pakistan crisis as well. Now, the intelligence officials remain quite cautious when it comes to his role as far as the West Asia war is concerned. Let me once again go back to my colleague Srinjoy on this. Srinjoy, even as the back-channel talks are underway, Pakistan in the last few days has projected itself as a key mediator in the West Asia war, but it is now under the scanner. Pakistani army chief is under the scanner, with reports citing that US intelligence are raising concern about his potential links with the IRGC amid the mediation claim. Give us more details about what the intelligence inputs are.
Well, first of all, this Pakistan-America relationship has been a very difficult one to sort of sort out in many ways. Why has the President of the United States, or why did the President of the United States invite a general in Pakistan to lunch with him at the White House? First of all, only because he felt that he had been nominated for the Nobel Prize by a Pakistani general. Now, there are other issues that are being talked about which are a little unsavory. But as far as Pakistan is concerned, what is known is that they have had links with Iran. Their links are very strong. They are a neighboring country. Surely you would expect the two countries to have some links, some relationship. The point is, beyond those relationships, does Pakistan, do the Pakistani leaders have the ability to bring the two sides together and ensure a form of peace, however tenuous? Will Pakistan be able to ensure, one, to extend the ceasefire, and two, to make the two countries, bring them face to face and ensure and hope at least that the two countries agree on certain things? So far, after the first meeting, you saw no sign of that. In fact, the Vice President of the United States said he'd flown all this way, talked for so long, and was leaving empty-handed. So what did Pakistan actually achieve? Except invite two sides, invite the media of the world, and then let them go back empty-handed.
Absolutely. It remains to be seen how Pakistan really reacts to this. Stay on with us. Let me go across to Major Samarpal Toor. Thank you so much for connecting with us. How do you look at this? Because a new twist is there as far as the US-Iran power game is concerned. And this time the focus has shifted to Pakistan. At one point, Pakistan is calling itself the key mediator as far as the West Asia war is concerned. But US intelligence has cited him as a big red flag. Your take on this?
You see, firstly, the Israeli ambassador to the United Nations, he's already pointed it out that, Pakistani and the Chinese ships are allowed to go through despite the hostile environment which is going on. So Israel is very reluctant that why is it that they are being given this treatment whereas the world is facing a blockade. They're not able to enter a Strait of Hormuz or procure oil. And with the attack on the Indian ships yesterday, it surely seems that IRGC has, overruled the statements by Agrakchi or any other political figure, and that the Mosaic doctrine has become more strong and overwhelmingly more relevant compared to the political top brass in Iran. So it is a telltale sign that in the coming few weeks, the fighting is going to increase and there is going to be a lot of chaos, which is eventually going to be out of control because IRGC is calling the shots. There are 31 commanders of the IRGC, out of which how many will defect, it's anyone's guess. And as far as the stance is concerned, India saw what happened yesterday. Despite being given a clearance to move out from the Strait of Hormuz, we were ambushed and the ships had to actually go back. So, keeping all the scenario in mind, definitely Pakistan has struck some deal with the Iranians. And moreover, let us not forget Asim Munir's wife is a Shia. And the background and the families of his wife's side are also, living in Iran.
All
So
right.
they have a very deep connect with the Iranian top brass.
Absolutely, and that is what U.S. Intelligence agencies have also flagged, calling him a big red flag. Thanks so much for connecting with us and bringing your perspective on this, because on one hand, U.S. President Donald Trump may have publicly praised Pakistani Army Chief Asim Munir, but reports are now citing his reported links with Iran's military leadership. What makes this more complicated is that Munir is currently being seen as a back-channel mediator between U.S. and Tehran. Reports are suggesting that he had personal equation with the key Iranian figures in Iran's power structure, including links to IRGC leadership. U.S. policy circles have for years questioned Islamabad's reliability as well. And in that backdrop, there's a new twist in the U.S.-Iran power game. Just 3 days ahead of the deadline, the ceasefire deadline expiry. In fact, the date is April 22nd. We are learning that Pakistan, on one hand, is projecting itself as a key mediator, but on the other hand, the focus has now shifted to its role and the back channel role links with Iran as well. And with that, we are shifting our focus back home to Telangana. We are learning, as far as Telangana Chief Minister is concerned, he has